Just trying to survive and learn to love along the way by Foreplay on AO3. Episode 48, Chapter 48 of Hugs and Apologies. The three of them sit together until Izuku calms down enough to relinquish his hold on them. His dads don't stray far, only moving back into their seats. Sho gives them a serious look before grabbing his hand again. Listen, kiddo. We also got some bad news for you. Uh-oh. Izuku thinks he knows where this is going. Is it about the student that died? His dad looks briefly surprised, before he schools his expression again and nods. How do you know about that? Izuku fidgets nervously, before fishing his free hand in the sheets. He wants so badly to sign right now, but he should be comfortable enough with his dads to talk, right? They never gave him any reason to not trust them, and Izuku has talked to them 1,000,000 times before, so why can't he do this? He opens his mouth to speak, but no words come out, and he finds himself looking everywhere but at his dad's. Movement past Hizashi catches his eye, and he turns to it, finding Kacchan staring at them with open curiosity on his formerly guarded face. Izuku must have woken him up with all his crying. However, it must not be too excessive, because Kirishima is still smushed against Kacchan's chest, seemingly dead to the world. Izuku cringes at the poor turn of phrasing and averts his eyes. He could practically feel the heat of Kacchan's gaze on the other side of his head, as if the other boy had heard his thoughts. He's not telepathic, right? That would be rather unfortunate. Well, Izuku cuts himself off. He doesn't even want to think about what the villains have been saying, even if that part hadn't been as traumatic as the rest of the kidnapping. His dad grabs his hand so that he now holds them both in his own. Izuku really hopes that he can't feel the trembling. Hey, Izuku. His dad looks so concerned when he finally meets his eyes. You don't have to talk if you don't want to. Would you rather sign? Sometimes Izuku forgets how caring his dads are. They notice when he's uncomfortable and actually give him a choice. Well, yeah, but his dad interrupts him before he could get anywhere with his complaints. No buts. Sign away, kiddo. His dad lets go of his hand, and Izuku draws them back to his lap, trying to quell the shaking. Signing won't do any good if no one can understand what he's saying. It takes a few minutes for his hands to stop shaking, and the silence is nearly unbearable. Kacchan hasn't said a word since he woke up, but Izuku knows that he's still watching. While we were still in the forest, I heard one of the villains saying that someone was caught. I think his name was Dabi? Izuku fingerspells the unfamiliar name, and looks to his dad's for confirmation. Yeah, that's the name of the guy I caught. Well, they also said that he killed a kid. That's all I know. Sorry, kiddo, but it's true. Dabi attacked the classroom, and Sato died protecting your other classmates. Izuku doesn't really know what to say to that. He didn't know Sato very well. The only times he really had direct contact with the guy was during rescue training. But Izuku knows he was strong, especially so if he protected their classmates. I'm sorry. Izuku had been about to utter those same words, but Kirishima beat him to it. Everyone turns towards the other occupants of the room. Kirishima isn't looking at anyone. Instead, he's turned so that his forehead is pressed against Kacchan's chest, hiding him pretty efficiently. It's my fault. If I was stronger, then he wouldn't have had to protect me. Izuku opens his mouth to reassure his friend, but Kacchan beats him to it. Then it would have been you that everyone's mourning, Kirishima. Teary red eyes turn towards his dad. Izuku follows his gaze and frowns at the look on his dad's face. He'd never seen him so openly upset before. It's my fault. I'm the one who left you guys there. Sho, we've been over. A frantic knocking on the door cuts his dad off. His dad looks grateful for the interruption and opens the door to a frantic-looking nurse. She bows low to him before speaking. Eraserhead, sir, I'm so sorry. We lost one of your students. I know he couldn't have gotten far with his injuries, but we can't find him anywhere near his room, so I have more nurses searching now. Who is it? The nurse stands from her bow to face him before answering. Kirishima Eijirou, sir. His dad sighs and turns from the door, eyeing up the bed where Kachan and Kirishima lie. I think you're going to call off the search. He steps to the side so the nurse can see the room. She looks briefly surprised, before pulling her phone to presumably update the rest of the staff. Kirishima? His dad looks a little disappointed. Sensei? Did you sneak out of your room just so you could see your boyfriend? Izuku looks back to Kirishima and finds his face almost as red as his hair. Wait, Sensei, that's not... His stuttering words, cut off by Kachan lightly smacking him on the side of the head. Shitty hair. Just answer the fucking question. Kachan doesn't even look upset by his dad's assumptions. Izuku's mind is blown. Who knew Kachan can be so tame? Yes, Sensei. Just as his dad looks like he wants to say more, the nurse steps forward. I am so sorry, Eraserhead, sir. I'll grab a wheelchair and escort him back to his room. He won't disturb... It's fine. Sir? The nurse looks so confused. Izuku could relate. It's no problem if he stays in here, so no need to trouble yourself with moving him back. Of course, sir. I'll just notify his doctor to transfer and grab his chart so I can get him back on the proper dosage of antibiotics and painkillers. The nurse leaves, thankfully less frantic than she had arrived. Sorry, Sensei, I just needed to see Katsuki. Kirishima looks only slightly remorseful. I said it's fine, but next time, just ask instead of taking out your IV and sneaking away. His dad sits back down with a sigh and grabs Izuku's hand again. The room is silent for a few moments, until his dad breaks it. How about I go get you that coffee show? His dad just nods at him, so he stands and plants a kiss on Izuku's head, and the other on his dad's cheek, before leaving the room, nearly colliding with the entering nurse on his way. Izuku ignores her as she heads to the other bed and starts fussing over Kirishima. He's too busy staring at the sad look on his dad's face. Are you okay, Dad? He gives Izuku an assessing look before replying. Not really. Izuku tightens his hand around his dad's. I know it doesn't mean much, but I'm sorry. What for? None of this was your fault, Izuku. I know, but it wasn't yours either. It's not like you asked the villains to attack us, right? His dad squints at him. Of course not. Then it's not your fault. And I'm sorry, because you lost a student. I don't think many knew Satoru all that well, but he was still in our class, and it sounds like he was a true hero. Yeah, he was. His dad sighs, before looking down at their hands. Izuku carefully lets go before pulling his dad into another hug. He seems like he could use the comfort right now, whether he admits it or not. That's how his dad finds them when he returns. 2 steaming cups of awful hospital coffee in hand. Okay, I want to talk about that last line. I just want to talk about it. It's the first thing that comes to mind for notes. And it was Izuku saying, it sounds like he was a true hero, and Shouta replying with, yeah, he was. I want to talk about that for a second. I think in that moment, Aizawa was not talking about the kid that just died. No. I think at that moment, he went 15 years back into the past. Or 14, however many it was. But he went back into the past, back to when he was in high school. And he, at that moment, remembered Oboro. I mean, I can't even imagine how much he's going through, you know? All of that pain being brought back to life, losing a student. It's something that I'm gonna do for a fanfic where he loses a student and it does not go well for him. It doesn't. It really doesn't. because it's like being back in that room again, right? Being back in that place when he lost Oboro, right? And in this sense, it's interesting because grief, sometimes you could forget about it. Sometimes you don't think about the people or the pets or the loved ones that you have lost until something reminds them, and it just comes back flooding in, right? Whether it be something as simple as a color, you see the color and you're like, that was their favorite color. That specific shade of green was their favorite color. Or that specific shade of this was their favorite color. Stuff like that, right? Where it's like, okay, I am reminded of that person. Like, and stuff like that, even when you're grieving a person who's not necessarily dead, right? Relationship-wise, it happens as well. When you're grieving a relationship or a friendship, you think about certain moments. Think about, like, if you guys had a song that was, like, your song, or a place that was your place, right? It comes back to you in waves. I know for a fact that I have certain boba shops, I have certain songs and certain colors that whenever I haven't gone back to that boba shop, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to, even though I know that there's a certain boba drink that I could only get there and I absolutely love it, but I don't think I could put my heart through going there again, maybe one day in the future, many years after that incident has passed. But for now, I'm never going back. But there's certain songs that now when I listen to them, they're happy, upbeat love songs or happy, upbeat, cute songs, and I sob, I cry, because it reminds me of them, right? So in this instant, I think Aizawa was brought back to Oboro. In that moment, in that instant, he was not talking about the kid that just died. He was talking about his best friend that died, right? At least that's my take. Headcanon, not saying that is exactly what he was thinking. It's my take on the thing. I think at that moment he was talking about Oboro. And not Satoru, who died. You know, I think at that moment it was just brought back to that. Clearly we have a lot of characters dealing with grief in ways of blame, right? Kirishima thinks it's his fault, Aizawa thinks it's his fault, but in reality, it's none of their faults. None of them. The person who's at fault is Dabi, and Dabi solely. He's the one who killed, not Oboro, oh my god, Satoru, right? He's the one responsible for the death, right? It's not Kirishima, it's not Aizawa. They did their best. They tried their best, right? You can't blame them, right? They didn't know it was gonna happen. I promise you, if Aizawa knew that the villain was gonna be there, right, Aizawa would have never left them. If Kirishima knew what was gonna happen, Kirishima would have never let Satoru protect them. You know, that's what it is, you know? But as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.